March 3rd, 2017 is a day Nintendo was changed forever. That day was the day that Nintendo released their new flagship console, the Switch. Obviously, I don't need to explain any more than that. We all know what the Switch is, we all know how well it's selling, and I mean, it's the entire point of this channel, so yeah, that's that. But on that day, they also released two pretty major games, like big, full releases that they had. One of those was The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that this is probably the greatest thing Nintendo has put out within the 21st century. I mean, this game is really a once-in-a-lifetime or a once-in-a-couple generation experience. So rarely do games have that amount of hype behind them and still manage to live up to the hype for nearly every single person playing. That is so incredibly rare, especially in these days of the industry, so I mean, that's just a phenomenal job, but everyone already knows Breath of the Wild's amazing. I'm preaching to the choir at this point. That is not what this video is about. This video is about the other game that released that day. This game is kind of the opposite of Breath of the Wild and the opposite of everything Breath of the Wild stands for. Whereas Breath of the Wild has hours and hours and hours of replayability and new content around every corner, this specific other game Nintendo launched with isn't even really worth the price of admission at all. Instead of being an inspiring adventure or even just a good game overall, it's become more of a punchline within the Nintendo community, and within recent memory, I'd wager to say this is one of the worst games Nintendo's put out, at least within recent memory. I mean, you can look at games like Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival for the Wii U, but that wasn't even developed by Nintendo, that was developed by ND Cube, so I mean, in terms of something developed in-house by Nintendo, this is pretty far up there in terms of just low quality. Obviously, you guys all already know I'm talking about 1-2 Switch, and the possibility of a sequel to 1-2 Switch has been a bit of a meme within the Nintendo community ever since that game initially launched, just because of how poor that game was, how poor the reception was, and all of that. However, what I said in the title wasn't a joke. I legitimately think a 1-2 Switch sequel could be not just cool, not just like good, but it could really be a great game if done right. And obviously, that's kind of a cop-out. I said if done right. Of course, anything could be good if done right. But I think a potential 1-2-3 Switch has a higher chance to work out well than people think, and it's due to Nintendo's past and previous examples that line up pretty suspiciously. So that's pretty much what this video is going to be about. What's up guys, it's Thomas from The Switch Stop, and welcome to Hot Takes. This is the series where I say something kinda controversial, like 1-2 Switch should get a sequel, and try and explain my point of view to you guys. Obviously, you don't have to agree with me, just please hear me out if you're interested. And if you do end up agreeing, or at least like where I'm going with this theory, make sure to actually like the video, because it does help out a lot. Subscribe if you're new, and put the notifications on, I don't know, that's supposed to help. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. So that was kind of an elongated intro, but it wasn't all for naught. I'm sure people are going to be commenting, skip ahead to this point, but that intro just kind of laid the basis and explained 1-2 Switch and what it is for those who aren't aware. 1-2 Switch was basically a tech demo for the Joy-Con to showcase off the Joy-Con tech. However, unfortunately, it was priced at $50 instead of included with the Switch. That was definitely 1-2 Switch's big downfall, and we're gonna switch gears here for a second, pardon the pun, and look at another game that Nintendo put out in recent years that was also a tech demo of sorts. This game is, unlike 1-2 Switch, really beloved by gamers and Nintendo fans especially. Everyone knows about this game, it's Wii Sports. So Wii Sports, what is it? Well, why am I even saying? Everyone knows what this game is. It's similar to 1-2 Switch, whereas 1-2 Switch had something like 28 really small micro games almost. Wii Sports' 5 minigames had much more replay value, but I think there was about the same amount of content between the two games, and I think most people will agree with me on that. Problem is, Wii Sports was included, and 1-2 Switch was $50. Even when Wii Sports was no longer included with the Wii because they started bundling in Mario Kart Wii instead, the game was only $20 instead of 1-2 Switch's $50. But that's not the point for now. The point is, Wii Sports was a great way to showcase what the Wii remotes did. 1-2 Switch showcased what the Joy-Cons did fine. So what does this have to do with a 1-2 Switch sequel? Well, many people know this, but Wii Sports actually got a sequel in the form of Wii Sports Resort. And this fits into the idea of a 1-2 Switch sequel in more ways than one. First of all, there's the obvious, Wii Sports Resort was just overall a way better game than Wii Sports. Not only did it have a lot of the games that the original Wii Sports had, but every single new game, and there were a lot of them, was fleshed out and had different levels, different modes within the game. For example, the sword fighting mode, there was a versus head-to-head where people were on a platform, but then there was this whole campaign where you could go throughout the island just sword fighting people. It was awesome. They definitely just amped up the game and put in a lot more content and a lot more modes so that it wasn't just a tech demo, because obviously when you're making a sequel to a tech demo and you're gonna put the sequel in at full price, you gotta actually add in a lot more stuff, and that's exactly what Nintendo did with Wii Sports Resort. And even though it wasn't priced like one, I think we can all agree 1-2 Switch was essentially a tech demo. So in making a 1-2-3 Switch, if Nintendo took the Wii Sports Resort approach, which worked out well for them with that game, it was a massive blockbuster hit and sold a ton, then 1-2-3 Switch, or whatever they end up calling it, could have a lot more minigames, and those minigames wouldn't be as mini, and hopefully they could get their own various modes within that game and all sorts of stuff like that. On top of that, I think I said multiple times that Wii Sports Resort wasn't a tech demo, but technically... Okay, that's just a stupid pun. Tech demo, technically. One could argue that it was a tech demo. In fact, that game was really meant to showcase the Wii Motion Plus accessory for Wii remotes. It's basically this little thing that slides into where the nunchuck would go on a Wii remote and ups the accelerometer and gyroscope that are within the Wii remotes and makes them a lot more accurate. And that's what Wii Sports Resort did and utilized, and that's how that game had way more accurate motion sensing than Wii Sports ever did. Once again, this relates back to the Switch in a very eerie way. I mean, recently we've gotten a ton of rumors about a potential Nintendo Switch Mini or a Nintendo Switch Pro or something like that. And with all those rumors, people are always asking, what would Nintendo do about the Joy-Con? Many people seem fixated on the idea that Nintendo is keeping the Joy-Con as they are, and any sort of Joy-Con revision would be way too difficult, as the Joy-Con are integrated very seamlessly into the Switch currently, and changing one variable would offset a ton others. But the Wii remotes did get a mid-console update within the Wii Motion Plus, and I mean, it ended up working out fine. It's not like the Wii died, the Wii was amazing, and they even used that same technology in the Wii U. So making a Joy-Con Pro that would come with the Switch Pro would be really, really possible, and it could bring in a lot of new tech for the Joy-Con. Nintendo has showcased that they like to use the Joy-Con in various ways, specifically when it comes to Nintendo Labo. Joy-Con Pro would be very cool, and if they were to make another game to show off the Joy-Con Pro, a sequel to 1-2 Switch would probably be their best bet. 1-2 Switch showed off the Joy-Con well, it was just overpriced. Making a sequel to 1-2 Switch, maybe 1-2-3 Switch or 1-2 Switch Pro, whatever you want to call it, if the Joy-Con Pro had enough cool new technology differences that were used in that game, it would be really unique and cool. It just lines up very similarly to Wii Sports Resort, where in that whole franchise, it originally started out with a tech demo. Then when the console's controllers got updated in the middle of that generation, they made a sequel to the tech demo that they sold at full price, but had enough content in it that it was warranted. The full price tag was warranted. Then we cut to the Switch. The Switch started off with a tech demo for the Joy-Cons, 1-2 Switch. That tech demo unfortunately wasn't bundled in, so gamers obviously hated it because it was way overpriced, but the still fact that it was a tech demo remains the same. If Nintendo does make a mid-generation update, which, I mean, there are way higher chances they will do with the Switch than the Wii. I mean, the Switch is a handheld, console, I guess. I mean, sure, it can be docked in TV, but the console itself is handheld, and Nintendo loves their handheld revisions. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely very plausible, but not just plausible. If they went the Wii Sports Resort route, it would be pretty cool, at least in my opinion. Sure, obviously, there's a lot of variables. It would have to be done well, and they would have to have a legitimate reason to make it. I think if they didn't update the Joy-Con and they just made another 1-2 Switch with the normal Joy-Con, at that point, it's just like, why are you doing this? But if we do get a mid-console Joy-Con update, which has been rumored multiple times, thanks to stuff like the Switch Pro getting, like, supposedly talked about by Forbes, then with new controllers comes a new tech demo or a new piece of software that showcases the Joy-Con's controls better. Hopefully that's all making sense. But let me know what you guys think down below. And I'm curious, let me know down in the comments what you would name this potential 1-2 Switch 2. Obviously, that's a pretty bad name because it says 2 twice, but like 1-2-3 Switch just implies that it's the third game in the series, and it's just a whole mess. Let me know down in the comments below, and also let me know if there are any games you'd want to see get a sequel to that other people probably don't want to see. If you watched this far, I'd assume you liked the video, so make sure to hit that like button if you did enjoy, subscribe if you are new, with the notifications on and all that good stuff. I'm Thomas from the Switch Stop, signing off. Peace.